transfer on. We must start with the news that Luis Diaz is looking very close to Bayern Munich, who've agreed a €75 million fee for the player. Liverpool giving the Colombian permission to travel to complete the move, and that would make him the third most expensive Bayern Munich transfer after Harry Kane and Lucas Hernandez, ahead of Matthijs de Ligt and Michael Olise when you take a look at their most expensive transfers. Julien Laurent is with us, but let me start with you, Ale, because we've heard Bayern in the mix for a number of wingers. A number of wingers have been linked to them. Luis Diaz, it seems, is the man. Is he the best of the bunch of what they could have had?
Well, first of all, let me just address that list there. Lucas Hernandez and Matthijs de Ligt were that expensive? Good Lord. Good Lord. As it pertains to Bayern Munich, it seemed really for most of this summer that it was going to be a negative summer for Bayern Munich, where they were overlooked and really sort of looked down upon by those that made the decisions to go elsewhere. Specifically, Florian Wirtz, for example, that said, yeah, I could go to Munich, but I prefer to go to Liverpool. And then Nico Williams, I don't know whether that was a real possibility for Bayern Munich or not, but they were part of the discussion. Whether it was a realistic part of the discussion, I don't know. But regardless, it wasn't Barcelona for Nico Williams. It was back to Athletic Club Bilbao, not so much Bayern Munich. And so you're looking around, and then there's the injury to Jamal Musiala in the Club World Cup. And now it's back to depending on the inconsistencies of Serge Gnabry and Kingsley Coman, and Thomas Müller has gone elsewhere now. And it's kind of like, okay, what are we going to do? And out of nowhere, this Luis Diaz situation falls right into the lap and into the interest of Bayern Munich, and everything works out for Bayern Munich. Because I must say, I'll add another name, Rodrigo as well, who was discussed potentially going to Bayern Munich. Of all those names that I just mentioned, Luis Diaz is a really good fit for Bayern Munich, what they are and what they want out of that position coming from the left-hand side. And in the personality that this team now has with Vincent Kompany, one of the things that they want to do and that he wants to do is to press higher up the field. And who does that naturally? Luis Diaz. Hard worker, tireless worker defensively, and a guy who offensively is also productive and can create for himself and for others. So for all the negativity that was surrounding Bayern Munich, I think now things have turned very much in the positive. And you see a Bayern Munich team that could just turn around and say, we had it all the way. Luis Diaz was our guy, and he's going to work out quite well for us. I think things have been lined up perfectly for Bayern Munich in being able to, after all, settle and actually find a guy who I think is going to be really important for them in Luis Diaz.
Yes, perfect segue lining up, because, Jules, we have asked him to put together a starting 11 for Bayern with Luis Diaz in that 11. He'll be slotting straight in here, Jules. You'd want to hope so for that amount of money anyway.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he's coming to start, and we've put him on that left-hand side in the 4-2-3-1 that Vincent Kompany usually plays. At Bayern, there's still pieces missing, clearly, in this jigsaw. I mean, to start with the left-back position, Alphonso Davies is injured, so it could be Stanisic, it could be Guerrero. Even in that number 10 position, now that Thomas Müller is gone and Musiala is injured for a long time, we put Gnabry there because that's who replaced Musiala at halftime of that PSG game in the Club World Cup when Musiala got injured. But either it's another signing or Vincent Kompany does something different, could put, I guess, maybe Michael Olise there like he does for France, and move another winger on the right and Diaz on the left. There's a few things, or they sign another player, because I still think they are one man short with that long-term injury for Musiala in those attacking positions behind Kane. And to be fair, even as a Kane replacement, we don't really have anybody right now for Bayern Munich, so they're hoping that nothing happens to Kane. But this is probably what they could start the season with right now.
Yes, absolutely. Shaka, when it comes to the Champions League, you might be surprised, you might not, to see that Bayern are 7th in the list of favourites right now. Obviously, it's going to be a very strong Champions League campaign next year if you're to look at it, and the teams who've strengthened. And you do look at this list with PSG, Liverpool, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Arsenal and Manchester City ahead of them. Does Luis Diaz coming in lift them any higher than those teams ahead of them?
Not than those teams ahead of them, as we sit right now. And while I'm sitting with Ali and Jules, I think the Luis Diaz signing is a very good one for Bayern Munich. One, certainly needed, especially once Leroy Sané moves on. But when you look at that list, you understand why the top 6 are there. Now, we could debate whether that order is entirely right, but I don't put Bayern ahead of any of those 6. And one of them being, and Jules touched on it, is about squad depth. And while they have certainly numbers through midfield, now have numbers wide, Harry Kane goes down. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how Bayern Munich cope with that. You could probably say the same around about Erling Haaland in Manchester City. You saw the impact that the Rodri injury had on them and their ambitions last season. But as we sit right now, certainly Bayern Munich's position is a fair one.
Premier League teams back in action now in the summer series, and we will talk about the game between Arsenal and Newcastle in just a moment and bring you what happened in that game. But of course, all the talk afterwards to Eddie Howe was, where is Alexander Isak? And this is what he had to say.
Just a quick one on Isak's situation. Is there any update? Are you thinking about flying him out here at any point?
No, nothing's changed.
And just to clarify on Alex, is there any chance that he joins you out in Korea or here?
No.
Was pretty firm there. No, and no, Jules, he's going to Liverpool, isn't he?
I don't know if he's going to Liverpool, but he's been very clear with the club in the last few days with Newcastle that he wants to leave. And I don't know if we can talk about forcing a move, but it certainly feels like that. You saw the face of Eddie Howe. He knew the questions was coming, and the answers are very obvious. He said no, he doesn't want to be out there. He doesn't want to be with Newcastle. He doesn't want to take part in the Arsenal game, in the Arsenal friendly game today. He doesn't want to join them. He doesn't want to play for them anymore, which is an incredible situation, really, when you think about, we're talking about one of the best number 9s in the world. Whether he goes to Liverpool or somewhere else, we don't know yet. We talked about it about him going to Liverpool 2 days ago. Can they afford him to start with? Where would he play? Like, what do you do with Ekitike and Wirtz and etc. etc. So even to Liverpool is not that easy and not that simple. But I just hope for Alexander Isak that he's got another option than Liverpool, because if it doesn't happen to Liverpool, it would be very strange if he has to come back to Newcastle.
Now, Shaka, this has nothing to do with me bringing this up now, because the Newcastle manager himself, Eddie Howe, has been forced to discuss it once again. This is not my doing.
Too late. Too late, Kay.
It may not be her doing, but she seems to be enjoying it.
Well, she's way too much. It's too late, Kay. The damage is already done. Listen, you understand Eddie Howe's position, or certainly how curt his answers were, kind of given the situation and the importance of Alexander Isak to Newcastle United. The amazing thing to this is, listen, it's nothing new about players wanting to move clubs, especially with this kind of interest, especially when you're talking about clubs like Liverpool, defending English champions, that list of favourites to win the Champions League. It makes an incredible amount of sense. But this just seemed to happen quickly and escalate even more so. In that, normally, these things kind of drag out a bit in terms of if I'm Alexander Isak and you have this interest, there's some suggestion, well, there's a new contract or some kind of negotiation going on with the existing club. And while Newcastle do not hold the pedigree or certainly the ceiling of a Liverpool football club, financially, they want to be able to compete, or you think they can or should be able to. But even that has not kind of materialized. So I understand Eddie Howe's kind of position, if his body language is, if I may be so bold, is to be understood correctly, that this is kind of come as a very sudden blow, and there's no stopping this at this point, which from a Newcastle perspective, of course, is disappointing.
To Jules's point, if it doesn't materialise a move to Liverpool, which is very much assumed what he's pushing for and what he wants, that's a problem for Newcastle and the player, right?
Yeah, it could be. Up until he shows up the first game of the season, scores a couple of goals, and then, hey, one of ours. He's been one of ours the whole time. Nothing to see here. Newcastle are in a position in which now they're just reacting to whatever Isak wants to do. And that's a very uncomfortable place to be if you're a club, because as now the window advances, you're wanting to see, okay, if indeed he's going to go, we need to have a contingency plan. We need to have something to react and time enough in this window to be able to react and replenish our team. You're not going to get the same level of player of Alexander Isak, but how do you go about addressing his potential absence? But you cannot address his potential absence if you don't have the funds available. And when does that become available? When he gets purchased by, in this case, Liverpool. And so it's a very uncomfortable position to be as a club. It's an even more uncomfortable position to be as a manager, because you're having to placate the media, and you're having to answer these questions time and time again. Are you really having direct conversations with the player? At this point, probably not. And so you're depending on all sorts of things that are out of your hands. And yet, when that first game comes around in the Premier League season, Eddie Howe is expected to put a competitive team on the field with or without Alexander Isak. As for the fans, they may be hurt right now, but if Isak is part of Newcastle, first match of the season, and he goes on, as I mentioned earlier, to score the goals that he was able to score last season, forgive and forget, because you're fortunate, and you should consider yourself fortunate, Shaq, as a Newcastle fan, that indeed you were able to keep this player, whatever the circumstances may have.
Let's put the focus on Arsenal now, particularly on the 15-year-old that we just got to see there, Max Towman, 15 years old. The only other player we're talking about playing at 15 years old recently has been Lamine Yamal. Tell us about this player, Jules. He's looking special.
Yeah, very special. I mean, to the point that it feels a bit bad to talk about such a young player, really, and mention his name, but this is how good he is, and it's crazy. And not just today, but we saw him last season for the Arsenal fans who've watched the under-18s or the reserve teams. Although he was only 14, 15, he was still playing 4 years above at times, 5 years above, against people way older than him, and skinning them every single time. I mean, I've seen him grown at the academy. He was a really good player when he was a bit younger, but in the last 2 years, he's grown in size already, because he's 15, but he's 6 foot already. But also in terms of his influence on the game, that left foot, the fact that the ball is glued to his feet, and even in decision making, he's getting better and better. There was a time in some youth teams where maybe he was dribbling a little bit too much because things were too easy for him. Now, and we saw that certainly today, where he knows exactly when to stop the dribbling, when to pass. His awareness all around is great. His passing, even 1 touch, 2 touches, is very good. And he needs to keep growing, but he won't be able to play until he's 16, obviously, with the first team in an official game, and that will come in December. There's also, obviously, talk around his new contract, but he's an incredible talent.
Jules, has there been any talk about whether we may see him in the Premier League in the upcoming season then?
Yeah, I think that's very much the plan. He's part of the first team squad now. He will be given a number, I believe, and then until he's 16, as we said, until not before December for sure. And then after that, it will be down to Mikel Arteta, who we know because we saw that with Ethan Nwaneri, who started with the first team, made his debut at 16 away at Brentford a couple of years ago. That it's very much something that Mikel Arteta can do, will do, has done before, is happy to do. If the player is good enough, then there's no age. You know, as Kylian Mbappé used to say, if you're good enough, you're old enough. There's no problem whether you're 16, 17 or 18. So I really expect, if everything goes well, that we would see him in the second half of the season.
Shaka, how do you manage this, a 15-year-old with this talent?
I think that's inevitably the challenge. Now, of course, we've seen young, talented players come through. There's a roller coaster to those performances. Burst on these scenes, as Dortmund has, and he's not the first, I'm sure won't be the last. Then there's a dip in form, then a rise again, and it's how you manage that as a manager, and that's a job for Arteta. I'm not seeing anything new here. I'm not seeing anything that we didn't see about Lamine Yamal a couple of years ago. How you manage those ups and downs, how you manage some of the disappointments in the league, and how you encourage that player to continue to play naturally as he sees it, but while at the same time appreciating everything that's around you. Because in pre-season is one thing, in the Premier League, in games that matters, it's a completely different. It's a different learning curve. But to have this kind of talent at your disposal, coming at your disposal, is a wonderful option to have. And it's a different side of management. As much as we talk about Arteta as being a good manager, it's a different side of management when you're managing players this young. How can you get the best out of them? Certainly in the long term, The other aspect to this, and Stuart Robson would attest to it, is the burnout that comes with being that young and playing in a league this intense, and how that takes a toll on a still developing body. There's a lot more aspects to this than you expect with anybody else.
It's if you wanted to feel old, Shaq, and we don't need to do that, right?
No, I don't need much of a push, but
No,
carry
no,
on.
no. This guy was born in 2009, Shaq. It's one thing when you hear that he's 15 years old, but when you actually see date of birth, 2009.
Almost 2010, because it was like 31st of
yes.
December.
We're talking about the World Cup 2010 in South Africa, Shaq. And we talk about these things as if it was yesterday, and it was yesterday, which brings me to the second point. It's funny to hear Jules talking about Max Dowman. Well, you know, when he was in the youth teams, he was dribbling too much. Well, the youth team was what? A year ago? 2 years ago? It's ridiculous. It really is to see a kid. He is a kid, to come out and play as well as he has and as he did, particularly in this game. And so it gets to the point to where, at least for me, the priority would be, if I were him and the people around him, what do I need to do in order to gain the trust, the respect and appreciation of the players around me, of the veteran players, of the players that have been around for a long time? And those are the guys that can really help me grow and mature. But in order for them to extend their hand to help me, to grow, to mature as a professional, they have to respect me and they have to appreciate me. And the way that you do that is the work that you put every day. But the other way that you do that is coming off the bench and doing some of the things that he did today. Those things will garner respect within the locker room, regardless of whether you're 15, 30, 35, 45, whatever the case may be. When you're able to have an impact on the game, that's a huge step forward. And the more you do that, the more you become appreciated and beloved in the locker room.
To your point, Shaka, what were you doing at 15? Not that.
To Ali's point, that was a long time ago. No, you have me thinking. I have no idea. What did anybody do back then? I was living my life in high school.
Yes. Not that. Not what he's doing.
Definitely wasn't that.
Not that. Victor Gyökeres, we got to see Jules. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that he can replicate his form that we've seen in Portugal at Arsenal?
It's hard to tell. I mean, the first thing is the excitement amongst Arsenal fans that they finally signed him and that he will be able to join up with the team. As we saw, he's already there on that pre-season tour in Southeast Asia, and then we will get to see him at some point very soon with that number 14. That's great. For the rest, there's obviously a lot of things here. The first thing is the Portuguese league is not as good as the Premier League, obviously. Sporting was playing in a different way, especially under Ruben Amorim than Mikel Arteta plays with Arsenal. But he knows English football. He speaks the language, which is very good. He's obviously been in the Premier League or around the Premier League, and then in the Championship, obviously, where he made a real name for himself at Coventry before going to Portugal. He's that kind of striker that I think if you give him the right service, will score goals and goals and goals. So the adaptation is probably not as big as if he was a defensive midfielder like a Zubimendi, who will need to learn a lot of things in the Arteta style of football, maybe more than Gyökeres. It's a different profile to Kai Havertz. We said that too before on Friday Night Show. But yeah, it's impossible to say if he's going to score another 50 goals in a year or 40 or 30. I said 30 on Friday. Stevie was a little bit lower. It depends. But the one thing we know for sure is that he will have to hit the ground running straight away. Arsenal can't afford to have him needing 6 months to adapt. They need him to score now. He doesn't have to score 3 goals a game, but he will have to be good now, because otherwise, by the time he becomes good enough, they might be too far away from a Liverpool, a City, a Chelsea, or whoever are in front of them in the league. So they need him to perform as quickly as possible.
Just a logistic question here. For the record, was there a number there from Jules or not?
A scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah, a scale of 1 to 10. Was there an actual
Should we
number?
push him?
Well, I think so. I don't want to tell you how to do your job, Kate, but I think maybe we should.
Go on then, Jules. We're pushing you. 1 to 10.
I'm 7 out of 10 confident that he will be almost as good as in sports in Portugal.
You know who's not going to be happy though, Ale?
Who's that?
We've done some digging You know, the set-piece coach,
Oh,
Arsenal.
superstar.
Yep. Well, we decided to take a look at the last 2 seasons in league and UEFA competitions at Sporting.
Oh.
And there has only been 1 header,
Oh.
2 headers, sorry, in 2 seasons, 0 last season.
Oh.
Is this a cause for concern? This is a 6'2" striker.
Well, let's not forget that we're talking about this on July 27th. So this is the July 27th special, and we're trying to figure out what Viktor Gyökeres is going to be for Arsenal, and how do these goals from Sporting translate into goals at Arsenal. Part of doing that is seeing what his skill set is. And you cannot argue against the numbers. The numbers are what they are. That is obviously not good productivity, being a header of the ball. It doesn't show that he is dominant in the air. And if we talk about a team that has depended heavily on the set-piece coach and the delivery of such set pieces from guys like Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard, they will depend on Viktor Gyökeres getting on the end of that service, which usually is with his head. If we follow this whole thought process, that number that you just shared with us, Kay, and thank you for doing the research, is damaging. It's damaging evidence. I don't think it says everything that we need to know about Viktor Gyökeres, but it's certainly something that points to an area of concern.
There's no big issue.
All on my own, without Shaka's algorithm. There's no issue?
No, I'll tell you why. Because I think Arsenal's set pieces, Gabriel is still the main actor. Everybody else is playing supporting roles in Arsenal's.
Oh, right, nice little analogy there.
So as a result, he's there again, not to lead in terms of Arsenal converting set pieces. He's there to pick up the pieces from the set pieces.
Oh, see, you started well with your analogies, and then you...
I thought I finished strongly.
No,
yeah.
no,
I
thought
you lost steam.
I wonder,
I
is Jules staying at 7.5 after hearing the stats?
I got it sent today. But again, we talked about the way Sporting played, especially under Ruben Amorim. There was not too many crosses in the air. Set pieces was not their thing. So you can look at it that way. I'm sure Nicolas Jover, who is the set-piece coach, the magician, will improve Viktor Gyökeres. And I think Xhaka is right too. I think he might be there just to block people and to be a nuisance for goalkeepers and defenders and let others who are maybe better in the air than him score the goals like Gabriel Magalhaes. So we'll see, but I'm not too worried about that.
Let me just say, for the center-forward union, which I don't talk about all that often, but if I'm a 6'2" center forward, and their services coming into the box, the last thing I'm thinking about is setting picks for somebody else. No. My job is to score goals. And I'm big enough, tall enough, and strong enough to win headers. So while that may be the role of others at Arsenal, my role, if I'm Viktor Gyökeres, is to go and attack the ball. Never mind setting picks or getting on the way of goalkeepers and such.
He's setting picks.
What? You bought a guy this expensive to set picks?
He's setting picks. I guarantee it.
Can I just tell you? I used to set picks. That's how you use people like me. People like me that have no chance of scoring. You set picks, Alejandro. Viktor Gyökeres should not, and will not be setting
Would
picks.
finish 2-1. Bruno Fernandes, a
You
key
told
player
me
here.
Isak wouldn't go anywhere.
We focused on.
You told me that Spain would beat the Lionesses.
So here is Ruben Amorim on Bruno Fernandes saying it's impossible to play all the positions. Last year I felt that sometimes I pushed him back to have more possession in the build-up, and then we missed Bruno near the box. The problem is sometimes he gets frustrated and sometimes he loses a little bit the focus of his job. He wants to help his teammates so much that sometimes it's not the best thing to do. Bruno has to wait for the ball in different situations. This kind of thing is a leader, but he needs help, and he's going to have help. So here on this panel, I won't mention any names, but there has been some criticism with Manchester United, and particularly and specifically in the midfield as well. But listening to Ruben Amorim speak about Bruno Fernandes there and him getting help and his position, Jules, should we be a bit kinder? Does it make sense?
Should we? It felt like you were talking to me about Ugarte and the fact that he can't pass the ball. That's what we said the other day. To be fair, I didn't understand a single word that what Ruben Amorim wanted to say with that answer. I won't lie. He lost me very, very early on with the answer. I don't know. We saw Kobe Mainu playing deeper today with Ugarte in that game, and Bruno higher up the pitch with Cunha behind Højlund. We talked about United looking for number 9. This is the starting lineup of that. And it's only for, I think, 60 minutes, for an hour, and then a lot of players changed. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should be kinder with that midfield. I don't think an Ugarte Mainu midfield is the answer. Again, I don't think a Casemiro Ugarte midfield is an answer too. I think Bruno can play deeper, and sometimes that helps United, but then you need him higher up the pitch, and he's not there, and he can't do everything. We know that. We said that so many times last season. It's the same thing again that we keep repeating. Until they sign more players, a 9, another 6, maybe even an 8, we will have the same debate again. And Ruben Amorim will say the same answers that don't really make that much sense.
Bruno, the man for another season, Shaq?
Bruno, listen, well, yes is a short answer to that question, but Bruno has been Manchester United's best player for some time. But to get the best out of him, he needs more support, as Jules is saying. Then Ugarte in midfield, who's not the best of passers. Kobe Mainu, who does not have the best engine, certainly in terms of getting around. So inevitably, once Manchester United find themselves under pressure, Bruno Fernandes finds himself dropping deeper and deeper. Now, it's good to see Cunha up alongside him, providing some support. Ruben Amorim says there's going to be more signings to come in and bolster that starting 11, certainly in terms of quality. But until Manchester United have a certain level of quality around Bruno Fernandes, we'll have the same criticisms around him, because if he isn't allowed to play his game, his best game, I'm not sure what he brings otherwise. But then you have the same criticism around so many others from Manchester United.
Well, and to that point, Shaq, it's not like they're missing one piece.
Yeah.
No. This is multiples. You put that starting lineup up, and that group of players is not finishing anywhere near the top 4. They'll be somewhere like 7th or 8th, maybe 6th, that group of players.
Yeah.
They may get better if they acquire more players, maybe. But there is nothing to suggest that this team, as currently constructed, is going to challenge the big boys. And I think there is a clear separation between Manchester United and those who are really fighting for something important in the Premier League. Manchester United are nowhere near that conversation. I think their goal should be, we have to significantly improve from what we did last year. And then we continue to build. Are they patient enough to do that? I don't know. But what I can tell you is that group right there has mid-table written all over it.
England have retained their Euro title, winning 3-1 on penalties against Spain. It was 1-1 in the game after Spain had taken the lead through Caldente. Alessia Russo levelled things up, went to extra time, ended up going to penalties, and England won the shootout to retain the title and make it back-to-back wins as well. Jules nailed it. England, that is, not you with your prediction that Spain would be winning.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. Another smash and grab from England. And to be fair, they won this trophy, they won this competition, back-to-back, great. Serena Wigman, 3 in a row, even with 2 different countries, which is history there. Wonderful. But England were not the best team in this tournament by far. They were not the best team in this final by far today. They won it on experience, on resilience, which is good for them, really. But when you think that they've only led 4 minutes in the overall in the 3 knockout games in this tournament, shows you that it's been a struggle for them. And the last one, they deserved it. They played well. They were by far they were the better team. They beat Spain in the quarterfinals and Sweden in the semis and Germany in the final. This time it was a very different win, but they won. Well, this is the only thing that matters is the fact that they won. It doesn't matter so much how they won or if they struggled or not, because they did struggle through the whole tournament from the first game to today in the final, where they defended for most of the time. I mean, Ejimon came on and she had more duels won than actually passes made in the 50 minutes she spent on the pitch. This is what England did after the 70th minute. But it doesn't matter so much. They won, and they deserve a lot of credit for it.
Yes, all 3 knockout games, coming from behind to win.
It sounded like a lot of backhanded compliments.
It was through gritted teeth.
Yes,
It was
it was
through,
like, they won, but they won, but they won, but they won.
They won.
And
They
that's,
won.
that's
And
what-
you know who else said they wouldn't win?
Oh, who's that?
Wouldn't win? I thought I was with UK.
No, you were not with me the
What?
other day. In fact, nobody was.
That's
Shaq.
not how that's not quite how I remember it.
Wow,
but
Shaq.
we're gonna have that discussion another day. Listen, to congrats England and to Jules'
but?
point. To Jules' point. While yes, Spain certainly dominated possession. I think everybody expected that. I can't think of Hampton making too many outstanding saves to say that she would have been man in match on the day. So England played to their strengths. I think Spain, similarly in the semi-final, were not very good and seemed to, as they've progressed, the pressure kind of got to them, which is a little bit of a surprise. So credit to England for holding their nerve, and me and UK for never disbelieving.
Cayetana Bonmatí, player of the tournament for Spain as well. That must be mentioned. Another thing that we got to see in this game was a double touch from Beth Mead in the penalty shootout. She got to take it again.
Yeah.
Second time, missed. However, the rule has changed, so I wonder what Atleti would think watching a moment like this.
This is the Julian Alvarez rule.
Yes.
Is that how we're going to address it from here on out?
Yeah.
Yeah, some things would have changed. A lot of things may have changed. Regardless, at the very least, we're seeing that the law has changed for a reason, and there's a good reason for it. And to the point of Beth Mead, he actually steps up once again and misses the penalty.
Yep.
And as a side story, the penalty kicks in this particular tournament were not good at all. Not good at all. Even those that won matches still were not very good. Regardless, England did just enough. Spain in the penalty kick shootout, including Aitana Bonmatí, big misses in big moments. Spain unable to find the magic that we had seen over the course of the tournament, unable to find it in the final. For whatever reason, they decided that they were going to become more dribblers than passers, and they started sort of lumping balls into the box, and that's not really something that they do. They went away from the things that I think made this team successful in this tournament. Their final product was not there. England was there to fight, was there to grind, and they did so better than anybody else in this tournament.
Yeah, just as I knew they would.
Which is we knew they would.
Some MLS action now into Miami against Cincinnati. Rodrigo de Paul introduced to the crowd.
Is he going to button his shirt or not? That's how it's going to be.
Lionel Messi, who is, of course, suspended. We'll get to that in just a moment. Take it to the 11th minute. Header saved here.
A nice ball in and well-timed run, but very, very good save.
68th minute. Shot would be
I
spilled.
know.
Cleared off the line here by Lujan.
Our goalkeeper doesn't do very well initially, but Lujan stays with it. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Now, if you take a look here, Miles Robinson would head home to seemingly take the lead, but the referee would call a foul from Robinson before the goal, which was an interesting call.
Is he not the one being grabbed? What?
That is an odd call. First look, I thought Robinson was on the defender's shoulders, but wait, that replay showed otherwise.
Yeah, and it would finish 0-0 this game. And as you just saw there, Lionel Messi's in the stands because he's suspended. It's still annoying Javier Mascherano, that very fact.
Tengo una opinión de lo que ha pasado, se lo he comentado ayer. Nada, no vine acá ni para criticar la MLS ni para cambiar las reglas. Nos adaptamos a lo que sucedió, más allá que no comparto la decisión, no la comparto para nada, pero bueno, nos hemos adaptado. Lo que sí me resulta extraño es que un día, digamos, se diga una cosa un día y al otro día se tome otra decisión completamente diferente, porque todos lo escuchamos, lo que se dijo, de que era entendible, de lo que venía, de la cantidad de partidos que venía jugando. Nosotros no perdimos, que se trate diferente. Ahora yo digo, hago una consulta. ¿Qué pasa si el partido de hoy era de visitante? ¿Hubiesen pedido también que Leo no juegue? Porque para llenar estadios y hacer taquilla, ahí nadie se queja, Lo que pasa es que este partido tocó de local. Ahí está.
Mascherano not holding back his thoughts there, nor did Stevie Nicol the other night. And I wonder where you stand on it all, Ale.
Well, I think the opinions of Javier Mascherano are quite valid, and it's something that I think we all share, that the way that MLS goes about dealing with things, and it has been the case over years upon years upon years, is that they never have had consistency in the way that they make decisions. And over the years, we've sat here and criticized the fact that they change and bend the rules for specific teams and specific players. So in this case, they did not change or bend the rule for Lionel Messi. So I suppose in that sense, you kind of go, all right, Don Garber, all right, MLS. However, the point that MLS tries to make, and that Don Garber tries to make in suspending Lionel Messi one match, is it's trying to say that no one is above MLS and the rules of MLS and Major League Soccer. Truth of the matter is that we all know, the players know, the owners know, the teams know, the TV people know, everybody know, the fans know that Lionel Messi is above MLS. He is. And I'm not asking the league to accommodate Messi and how many games he plays and whether he gets suspended because of it or not. That's not the case at all. But what I am saying is, let's not pretend that because you suspend Lionel Messi conveniently in a home game that you've made a really strong point here and really put your foot down and said, no, we're the ones that make the decisions here. That's not the case. Lionel Messi does as he wants. You may want to suspend him if you so desire, but be careful. Be careful that you're poking the bear here. Be careful that you are indeed crossing Lionel Messi, because he may choose at the end of this season to go elsewhere to prepare for the World Cup as he sees fit and as he desires. He may. And if he does that, then what happens with MLS? The house of cards falls down. House of cards completely disappears because all of it has been built around the figure of Lionel Messi. So, listen, there are ways to massage the situation. And suspending him, I don't think it helps MLS in the long run.
Mascherano definitely didn't massage the situation there. He told it like it was.
And absolutely right in everything he said. And to Mascherano's point, had this game been in Cincinnati, that would have punished Cincinnati in a way, because fans simply wouldn't have shown up in the same kinds of numbers you would have expected if Lionel Messi was playing, if it were in Cincinnati. So then all of a sudden, it gives Don Garber and MLS an issue. Who is this truly punishing, or who would it have truly punished if it was an away game? And as I said a couple of days ago, with Inter Miami's current position and games in hand, I don't think it impacts them and their prospects of finishing top in the East and going on to the playoffs. So in truth, kind of because of how the league is structured, all you've done is kind of angered Inter Miami. You've certainly angered Javier Mascherano. And then to Ali's point, as Steve was making the other day, if Lionel Messi just decides, well, you know what, I'm not going to show up to this photo shoot, or I'm not going to show up to this sponsors dinner, or whatever it may be, he's well within his rights. He's well within his rights to do that. And ultimately, while you make a stand that really had no telling impact, it may tell on you further down the road.
Yes, we will definitely find out. We do have more MLS action to show you right now, though. The Vancouver Whitecaps hosting Sporting KC. Going to pick up the action in the 35th minute, and it would be Emmanuel Sabi from a low cross here, 1-0.
That's very much a Moreno finish, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It comes from poor clearance. Does this next? It's Ngando to make it 2-0.
Oh, hello. The pride of UNC Greensboro, baby.
Oh,
Spartans. Let's go, G.
87th minute. Matias Laborda to make it 3.
Towering header here. And it gets up and down to the goalkeeper's legs.
Now, we don't often show too many Vancouver highlights here on ESPN FC, but we thought we would today because Thomas Muller has been linked to Vancouver Whitecaps as his next team. What would you make of a move like this, Ale?
Look, I think Thomas Muller coming to Major League Soccer is a plus for this league. And beyond what he can do on the field, and I still think that he can be productive, he's a guy with tremendous intelligence to play the game. The way he sees and feels the position that he plays. Now, if you can define what position Thomas Muller plays, that's a different conversation altogether. I think he also brings personality to Major League Soccer. It's a guy that will speak his mind, that will say what he feels and how he feels about specific things, will share his opinion even if you're not asking for it. It's a big personality that has a lot of success behind him and a lot of things and a lot of experience that players around him can lean on, but that this league can also lean on. Thomas Muller certainly has been a tremendous professional as well at Bayern Munich. So you have to imagine that him coming to Major League Soccer, he would be excited to take on this project and embrace the league. And that's what we want from these big-time players coming from elsewhere, that first and foremost, that they embrace.
Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time with Ale, Shaka and Jules. The theme of the show has been giving Shaka a hard time, and we're not going to stop now.
What have I done? What have I done, Kate?
Well,
What have
you
I
went
done?
against England. You started blaming me for Alexander Isak not
Yeah,
wanting to stay
that-
at your
Well,
Newcastle.
and you also said that Isak would stay at Newcastle.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
there's that as well.
Kate kept.
You're trying to say
Proven.
goalkeepers' awful mistakes are just because they're getting some of the rust off in the
That's
pre-season.
that's all that. That's pre-season. Nobody's focusing on everybody else's mistakes. That's what work through.
Well, let's see what you have to say
That's what
here.
pre-season is for. That's what pre-season is for.
Andrea says, for Shaka,
Oh boy, Andrew.
what stage of grief are you in right now about Isak possibly going to Liverpool? Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, or acceptance?
Oh boy, now let me see. That's a lot. I'm not quite got to acceptance yet.
What's the Shaka Power ranking on this?
I'm still bargaining. I'm still bargaining.
With whom?
All right.
I guess that's the best. Yeah, I'm not got to acceptance yet. I'm not at depression yet.
Okay, bargaining.
Anger, no. You beat the denial out of me. So yeah, so I'm gonna have to go bargaining. I'm bargaining with the stars at this point. I'm just hoping fate just works in my favor.
Good luck, Shaq.
Is that the case you're making?
Yeah.
That's it.
I didn't say I have much chips to bargain with.
So if Newcastle, because you hold keys to the city,
Yeah.
they send you to Isak's home
I'm gonna
to go bargain.
I'm gonna lock the door.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lock the door and leave it my
To
keys.
go bargain, you're gonna say, "I'm just here because the stars
Like,
sent me."
I'd rather just stay right here. I'll be right back. Don't move. I'll be right back. That's, boy.
That's what the mayor of Newcastle should do, Shaq.
I'm gonna lock him in the city. I'm gonna close the gates. I've got the keys. Let me see you leave now, Alexander.
Manager under more pressure, Jules. Slot or Arteta?
Oh, yeah, come on.
I don't think there's much pressure on Slot, really, considering the first thing he did. Of course, there's pressure because they would want to win it again and win the Champions League, and there's always pressure when you're the Liverpool manager. But there's not the same pressure if you're a manager that won the Premier League title on his first season at the club than somebody who's been 5 years in at Arsenal like Arteta and still hasn't won it. So, of course, there will be more pressure on Arteta than Slot.
I suppose if we look at it from the money that Slot's spent, is that going to put that added pressure on?
Added pressure, but not more than Arteta. I think this is an easy answer. It's Mikel Arteta.
I concur.
Okay. Which club, Ale, should Rodrigo go to, or should he stay at Real Madrid?
Well, if you're in a game of musical chairs, the chairs are running out for Rodrigo in terms of big-time teams. One of the teams that we thought maybe could have been an option for him may have been Bayern Munich, and that's not quite the case. At this point, if I'm Rodrigo, I don't go chase a team that is not quite to the level that I think I should be playing. And so therefore, I make it work at Real Madrid. And I see how this progresses under Xabi Alonso. It's a new manager in place. It's a new set of evaluation. It's a new set of coaches, new set of eyes observing training and observing what I do every day. So if I were him, I would concentrate and focus on being better every single day until the point that I become undeniable to be on the field. I'm not sure that he's always done that at Real Madrid, because there's been an intention and a reaction by Rodrigo in saying, well, these guys are going to play, I'm not going to play, so I guess I'm just the other guy. Once you accept that you're just the other guy, you will always be the other guy.
Jules, what would you do if you were Rodrigo?
I don't know, it's tricky because I get Ali's point, but he's been at the Club World Cup with Xabi Alonso for 4 weeks. He trained with him every day and he didn't play a single minute in the 4 of the 5 games they played or 4 of the 6 games they played there. So I'm not sure, if you're Rodrigo right now, the message that you've got already from Xabi Alonso is not very good. Could there be something at Liverpool now that Luis Diaz has left the club and if they don't sign Isak, they might be looking at somebody that can play on that left-hand side too with Cody Gakpo and be in competition with Gakpo, for example. Could he look somewhere else for a club that's looking for a left winger, or maybe he also thinks that there's no club bigger than Real Madrid and want to win his place there and stay and show Xabi Alonso that he's actually deserved. Maybe not to start every single game, because we also know how Xabi Alonso and Real Madrid are going to play next season, and there might not be room for him as a starter, but certainly to play enough minutes and enough games to still be happy.
Yeah, well, the decision for Rodrigo, I think, really comes down to be part of the big time at Real Madrid or be a star in a team that is lesser than Real Madrid. And we'd be talking about clubs that are a tier below the top tier in Spain or in England or this and that or the other, wherever that may be. I think when I said that the chairs are running out for Rodrigo, it's the chairs at the big time. And I think there may be something available for him and a tier just below that. But if he wants to stay in a big time competitive club that is there to win everything, that right now is Real Madrid. All those other clubs I don't think are in for Rodrigo right now.
For LA, start, bench or drop? Havertz, Nunez, Jackson.
Oh boy.
For what? What am I trying to do with this, guys? What is their role in my team? Oh, man. I imagine as a striker, would this be it as a striker, I'm guessing?
Yep.
We're going to go? It's not easy.
It's okay. We're going to make the others answer too. LA, you're not alone.
Huh?
You're not alone. The others have to answer too.
Okay. I'm going to... Oh, boy.
I'm starting Havertz.
Really? Okay, good job.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, great. Thanks for letting me know. I don't think Kai Havertz is a striker, so I'm not starting him. And while I know that there are people in this panel, some that are not exactly sitting on this table, are big fans of how much Kai Havertz presses the ball, that's not exactly what I want from my strikers. That's part of the job, but not entirely what I want. So I'm going to say Jackson starts. I'm going to say Darwin Nunez bench, and I drop Kai Havertz as a striker. He has a place in my team, but not as a striker.
Ooh.
Nope. I start Havertz. I bench Nunez. I'm dropping Jackson.
Oh.
Jules?
Yeah, same as striker.
2-1.
No, that's all right. It's fine. I know my truth. All I'm saying is that Jackson, as a striker, he causes chaos. He runs in behind.
He causes chaos for the team he's playing.
Yeah, he causes chaos. we just need to rein that back. The same thing with Darwin Nunez. Causes chaos as a striker. And Jackson gets himself in really good positions. Whether he finishes the chances or not, it's a different conversation. But he gets himself in really good positions. Kai Havertz is not a striker, doesn't play as a striker, and doesn't have the mentality or the mindset of a striker. So if that's what I'm picking, that's what I'm going.
All right. Next in is bronze is the new gold. Lucy Bronze went to UNC as the handle. Lucy Bronze said she played through a fractured tibia at Euro 2025. What's the worst injury you've played through?
Wait a minute. How do you play with a broken leg? I guess that's the point.
Yes. Didn't Steven Gerrard once do it as well?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I broke my finger in the warm-up in the game and played all 90 minutes.
She said after the game that she'd been playing the tournament with a fractured tibia.
I don't know if I was last in the tournament.
I don't know.
Well, what's the worst anyway that you guys played
Broke my finger.
through?
I actually remember. I remember because it was my 35th birthday. We played Liverpool FA Cup on my 35th birthday. Which was a long time ago now, so I won't go into the year and all that. I remember catching the ball funny in the warm-up. Thought, that kind of hurt.
You catching the ball funny. It's
Well,
not-
I quite
not
thought
proud.
that kind of hurt, but you're getting ready for a game. In the FA Cup, we actually won 1-0, actually saved the penalty. And then go get X-ray on Monday, fingers broken. And the doctor's like, oh, you're lucky it didn't catch it funny again. So because it was a clean break, so the bone actually, if I'd caught it awkwardly, it could have come up.
Oh,
nice.
this index finger, because I see you like.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, it was this down. Well, looking at the camera now. Down in the knuckle
big
here,
hands,
it was
Shag, that's
down
big
the bottom.
hands.
So the top ligament was kind of keeping it in place, but he said it was other than the ligament keeping it in place, there's nothing holding it.
Well, in my case, broken nose twice. That was not fun. Let's just say that the masks back in the day were not what they are now. And play with that was
More
terrible.
like a motorcycle helmet.
Well, that's what it felt like. It was like I was Hannibal Lecter or something. And actually, the second time I broke my nose was while I was wearing the mask.
no.
Because somebody hit the mask, and actually the plastic that was around the nose actually moved the nose.
Oh boy.
So there it went. So that was
Did
a
they do
second broken
that-
nose.
Did they do the old at the side of the pitch where they
Well,
readjust it?
no. I actually went and had surgery, came out of surgery, whatever, and my beautiful, lovely wife, I love you, babe. She said, it seems like that's still crooked. All right, thanks, babe. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh boy.
I imagine. Well, I played through a concussion, and I know that I played through a concussion because I don't remember the end of the match or however long that period of time was between I suffered the hit and then the end of the game. So that was. This is back in a day in which these things were not nearly as monitored as they are now. And then I used to have. There was a day. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
There it is. There it is. I told you the mask was not good.
Yeah, Melissa's right. That nose is crooked.
You know why they have that white strip on top of it? That was to keep it from moving, because the mask was so loose. And yeah, that didn't quite work. It was nonsense. And then there was a year with the Philadelphia Union in which I was having to get injections to my knee because I had a knee contusion and inside the socket of my knee. And I needed to play, I wanted to play, and it was a pain tolerance thing. But what I didn't appreciate back then is that while I was trying to play, and this is what we do as players, you make yourself available, I was doing myself no favors, nor the team any favors whatsoever, because I was very diminished in the way that I was playing the game.
Jules, have you ever written an article through an injury?
No, not really. But to what Ali just said, it's the case of how many games really, as a professional players, the boys have played. Maybe not so much goalkeepers, but outfield players, really 100%. You always play, or you always seem to play with something not right, but you go through. And I think there's a lot of cases where, like Ali just said, actually you wanted to play, you were asked to play sometimes, you were forced to play sometimes, or certainly you felt like you had to play when you were not fit enough, nowhere near, and still yet you play. There's people I know, former French international, who played and destroyed their knee even more because they were asked to play. Can you just play that one more game? And that one, we just give you an injection, like Ali just said, and it's just not good for anyone, really.
Why did Jules exclude goalkeepers there? I feel a little bit slighted. We're very tough, we are.
No, but you know what I mean. You know what
No,
I
I
mean?
don't know what you mean. No, don't try to make up now. Don't try to make up now.
You know what
Feelings are hurt.
the worst thing about, and I can only speak from my experience, but I know it's the case for many as well, that you take all these injections and sacrifices, and you make all the sacrifices in order to be available to play because you're being asked by your manager, I need you. And obviously you want to make sure that as a player it's your responsibility to be there for the team, and you do everything to play. But at the end of the season, knowing full well what the sacrifices have been, that none of that is taken into consideration. And then when it comes to making decisions in terms of personnel, they go back to the stats, and they go back to that game, and they go back to that game, and you kind of go, wait a minute, I spent 2.5 months, 3 months playing with a knee that I could barely move, that I was in pain, that was inflamed, that we knew that it was point of discussion. You asked me to play, I played, but at the end of the season, none of that matters. When it's time to make a decision in terms of personnel, if the numbers don't fit, they don't care whether your knee blew up or not.
All right. Thank you, guys, for sharing your stories. Thanks for sending in your questions. Final time. It's coming home.
Wow, there it is. There it is.